that, but like, this interview ain't about that. Like, it could go down in this interview, bro. Like, do you want it to go down in this interview?
September 2023, Lil Rico interviewed Baby Los, a notorious member of the Blood Gang and upcoming rapper. This was certainly one of the most terrifying interviews that was ever caught on camera. And these are gang members flipping out at disrespectful interviewers.
Get the fuck out, dog. I give you a platform. You gonna be on my...
It's April 2024, and there's a serious commotion going on the Lucky Hood Stocks podcast, which is known for unfiltered takes on urban life, hustling, and hip-hop. Lefty Gunplay, who's known to have a short temper, was all too happy to escalate the situation and left the audience speechless. The show, which is hosted by Lucky Hood Stocks, a reformed hustler turned media personality, had welcomed Lefty Gunplay, a controversial rapper with a street-hardened reputation. This wasn't just about entertainment, it was a clash of personalities that had origins in the gang life. Lucky Hood Stocks, born in South Central LA, built his name in the shadows before pivoting to podcasting. Now, his raw storytelling, candid interviews, and unapologetic commentary have made him a voice for those navigating life in the urban jungle. Even though he was known for emphasizing redemption and self-improvement, on this occasion, he was ready for violence. Lucky often uses his platform to challenge guests, a trait that's earned him respect and criticism in equal measure. But there was no respect shared between him and Gunplay. The episode began with tension simmering just beneath the surface. Lucky, a seasoned interviewer, pushed Lefty on his recent lyrics that seemed to glamorize betrayal within one's crew. Lucky would then try to intimidate Gunplay by reminding him that he was on his platform. But this scare tactic only backfired.
Bro, you on my platform, bro. You on my platform. Chill the f*** out, dog. Chill the f*** out. You on my platform.
Unlike Lucky, Lefty Gunplay fully embraced that full gangster rap life. He didn't just talk tough, he acted it as well. It only made Lefty's music and life a raw depiction of the streets filled with violence, unfiltered and unapologetic. His tracks, which often talk about the rough realities of gang life, have earned him a fiercely loyal fan base, but also significant controversy. Critics accuse him of glorifying violence, while fans see him as a poet of the underprivileged. And next, Gunplay brings out accusations against Lucky, which had an immediate effect on the interviewer, as he tried to clarify that he had made things good on the situation. But Gunplay was having none of it.
Let me tell you something, dog. It's not even like that. He told me what it is. We're chilling.
And I already apologized, dog, so let's move forward.
The room grew tense, with crew members and onlookers bracing for an eruption. Voices were raised, chairs shifted, and the intensity crackled like electricity. Lucky, instead of calming the situation down, decided the time for talking was over, and it was time to exchange fists. Well, let's just say that challenge was well accepted by Gunplay, who never backs down from a fight.
Bro, I walked out, dog.
Let's catch a fade, bro. Let's catch a fade.
The exchange, both frightening and funny, ended without a physical altercation due to the intervention of Lucky's co-hosts and production staff. However, the tension lingered as the two men left the studio in separate directions. Social media lit up as soon as that episode aired. Some viewers sided with Lucky, praising him for his boldness and calling out destructive behavior. Others, staunch Gunplay supporters, accused Lucky of losing touch with his roots. The podcast's audience doubled overnight, with fans and critics dissecting every moment of that heated exchange. As violent as this gang member's outburst was, though, it's nothing compared to the explosive reaction of the notorious gangster we'll meet next.
It's a lot.
Come on, J-Man,
Bro.
folk. Come on, G. Come on, folk. Now that's too far, J-Man. We gonna start with this too far, J-Man, folk.
It's November 2023. This explosive interview between two gangster musical artists, FYB J-Mane and FBG Butta, sent shockwaves throughout the rap community. What went down during that interview is stuff that proves how quickly things can heat up with these gangsters. J-Mane's reputation as a bold interviewer is often between candid and confrontational, but during this particular encounter, he crossed it. What started as a relatively civil conversation about street life, music, and survival quickly turned into a grilling session aimed at squarely Butta's alleged past actions. The conversation shifted toward persistent rumors that Butta had betrayed Lil J, a close associate and prominent figure in the Chicago drill scene. Whispers of snitching had trailed Butta for years, though he had repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. The breaking point came when J-Mane pulled out a mousetrap mid-interview.
Another thing for your rat ass.
Boy, what? Come on, folks. Playing with you, folks.
For those familiar with gang symbolism, this act was unmistakable. The mousetrap was a not-so-subtle insinuation that Butta had acted as an informant, which is a cardinal sin in the street code. The tension in the room became intense as Butta's expression shifted from calm to visibly irritated. He tried defending himself from the allegations, but J-Mane wasn't done yet.
This a mousetrap.
Man, I don't know nothing about that shit. Shorty, my
Lil J told me you was a rat, bro.
Tuka, before you touch that, talk about this shit, folks. Oh, Tuka, you making me mad, brother. I love you, folks. I'm trying to show you love on camera, folks. I ain't here.
It was clear that J-Mane was determined to pin Butta to the accusations. He wasn't accepting Butta's excuses.
Oh, listen to what Lil J said, bro.
Man, you stay talking about this Geechee man for what you trying to give him some money for?
I'm saying
He
this.
started to stop my money. I'm not finna keep talking about this.
Now, the mousetrap was just the beginning of a verbal war that would escalate into near chaos. As Butta began defending himself against the accusations, J-Mane reached into his bag once more and dramatically produces a wedge of cheese. If the mousetrap was the tip of the iceberg, the cheese was the rest of it. Bringing out that cheese was an insult that left no room for interpretation, pushing Butta past the breaking point.
It's a lot.
Come on, J-Mane,
Bro.
folks. Come on, G. Come on, folks. Now that's too far, J-Mane. We gonna start with this too far, J-Mane, folks.
Butta's body language makes it clear that he wasn't bluffing. That disrespect had reached a level he wouldn't tolerate. The air thickened with a mix of fear and adrenaline as the situation threatened to spiral into outright violence. And it was their shared past that finally calmed the situation. J-Mane and Butta had been friends for years, long before they became the public figures they're now. That connection, though shaky in the heat of the moment, was strong enough to stop Butta from pulling the trigger. After a tense standoff, Butta put the weapon away and stormed out of the interview. J-Mane was left visibly shaken but unharmed. Now, FBG Butta is a known figure in Chicago's street rap scene, closely tied to gang life, which heavily influences his music and personal challenges. This interview would become one of the most talked about moments in his life. The incident drew significant backlash, specifically from shared communities and fans. Many saw it as unnecessary and overly aggressive. Butta's actions not only impacted his reputation, but also led to legal consequences. During a court appearance, a judge directly questioned him about this altercation. September 6, 2024, in Hinsdale, Illinois, following a dramatic police chase, Butta got arrested. The incident began when a police officer attempted to stop a Jeep Patriot from improper lane usage and driving without headlights. Instead of pulling over, Butta fled, ultimately crashing the vehicle and continuing on foot. Now, during the pursuit, authorities allege he discarded a loaded .380 caliber pistol and was found in possession of a loaded .40 caliber Springfield Armory XD-40 pistol. Now, as a convicted felon, Butta was legally prohibited from owning firearms. The DuPage County State's attorney described the situation as alarming, especially since it happened near elementary schools. Butta now faces charges as an armed habitual criminal, a serious offense in Illinois, carrying a potential sentence of 6 to 30 years if convicted. And while FBG Butta's meltdown was pretty intense, the infamous gangster coming up took flipping out at disrespectful interviewers to a whole new level.
Do you want to go down to this interview? Do you want to go down, yes or no?
September 2023. Baby Los, a very controversial figure in the hip-hop scene, made headlines after an explosive incident during this interview. Known for his ties to the music industry's edgier side and rumored gang affiliations, Baby Los shocked viewers when he pulled out a gun on the interviewer and let him know things were about to get real. 2020. Baby Los started gaining attention not long after the Island Boys became famous for their viral song, I'm an Island Boy, and his close friendship with the twins earned him the nickname, the Fourth Island Boy, among their fans. For a few years, Baby Los was heavily involved in their circle, even being present during a public brawl in Hawaii that made headlines when the Island Boys' chain got snatched. Now, the fight added to the group's reputation for controversy, drawing widespread online attention. However, a recent interview with rapper Lil Rico revealed that Baby Los no longer wants to be connected with the Island Boys. Now, the biggest controversy about the boys was a clip they shared online where they were intensely kissing each other. It became a moment that was even more embarrassing than their music and bizarre fashion style. Even the Island Boys, who didn't seem like they had any sense of shame, felt this was a big mistake. They wished they never uploaded that video, and now Lil Rico wasn't gonna let that slide. He would bring that topic up with Baby Los, but the response he got was one he never expected. First, Lil Rico's asking normal questions to soften Baby Los up. He talks about being a dad and trying to live responsibly.
How do you feel about being a father?
It feel like make you don't even want to be in the streets no more, make you just want to focus on winning.
His answers seemed genuine, and he seemed like a gangbanger that was ready to turn his life around for the sake of his newborn. But surprisingly, it was all a lie. Baby Los wasn't ready to be a better man, and he would prove this with his next action. The interview takes a tense turn when the host pressed Baby Los about a viral video involving the Island Boys, questioning whether he had witnessed any unconventional behavior during their friendship. That question seemed to insinuate something Baby Los didn't like, striking a nerve.
Baby Los, I gotta ask you, bro, like everybody wants to know, did you see the Island Boys kiss?
Bruh, stop mentioning them dudes for real, bro. Like,
instead of keeping quiet, Rico continued to press on the question.
And they're like,
no,
did you
bruh,
see them
do
something together?
No, fam. Fam, they weren't gay when I was around, fam.
As the host continues to probe, Baby Los reaches for a gun, points it briefly, and issues a chilling warning.
Yeah, but like, this interview ain't about that. Like, it could go down in this interview, bro. Like, do you want it to go down in this interview?
Lil Rico froze in his chair when Baby Los cocked the gun and asked if he wanted to get the heat. For the few seconds that seemed like an eternity, Rico couldn't respond. He must have realized how dangerously close he came to getting shot. But Lil Rico was able to gather his courage and continue the interview as if nothing happened. Now, Baby Los's history is linked to gangsterism, and his music was filled with gang culture. While he hasn't openly acknowledged specific affiliations, insiders and past controversies suggest links to groups known for their influence in urban music scenes. A common theme in his music videos are crews rolling around with their automatic weapons. He didn't shy away from the fact that he was all about that gang life, though. This wasn't a dude any interviewer would want to offend, like Rico did. His earlier years were marked by legal trouble, which he often references in his lyrics, painting a picture of survival and resilience. However, incidents like this reignite debates about the thin line between artistic persona and real-life danger in hip-hop culture. The shocking display raises questions about Baby Los's mental state and the pressures of maintaining an image in a genre that often glorifies aggression. It is possible that he might have been under the influence, as he kept smoking something in there, looking high throughout the whole interview. But if you're thinking this gang member's tantrum was violent, wait until you hear what this next person did.
Stop tapping me, cuz.
Tom, what's up? I know, bro.
I want to stop tapping me, nigga.
It's March 2024. Brick Baby steps into the No Jumper podcast and right away starts ranting at everyone. While he talked about him being a 60 Crip gang member and ready to put a hit on several people, little did anyone know that this was only the beginning of the drama that unfolded.
To right here, right now, like y'all pulled up the last time, nigga. Pull up. On the dead homies, pull up, nigga. On 6-0, cause ain't no 40s coming to the 60 pushing no issue.
This whole thing kicked off in a heated episode where Brick Baby, a known affiliate of the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, lashed out at the podcast and its hosts. The tension had been building due to this ongoing verbal conflict with a social media star affiliated with a rival gang, the 40s neighborhood Crips. This was why he said no 40s were coming to the 60s, meaning he was above those he was speaking against and he was demanding they respected him. Now, the conflict between Brick Baby and this rival social media star had been escalating over several weeks. Both individuals had been exchanging these threats and insults online, which caught the attention of their respective followers and the broader community. The Rollin' 60s and 40s neighborhood Crips have a long history of conflict, and this online feud was seen as a continuation of that rivalry. During the podcast, Brick Baby accused the show of instigating the beef for ratings. He claimed the hosts were exploiting the situation without considering the real-world consequences for those actions. These accusations led to a heated exchange, with Brick Baby making violent threats and naming individuals he intended to target.
Hey, from now on, keep on running content on my name, nigga. Putting Kill Squad in the street.
Now, this incident raises several important issues. Firstly, we have the volatile nature of gang affiliations and the potential for violence when these tensions are brought into public eye. Like we said, these two neighborhoods hate each other, and the involvement of social media and podcasting can amplify these conflicts 1,000%. The public nature of these platforms means that disputes can quickly escalate, which might draw in a wider audience and increase the potential for violence. But the interview gets even more heated when one of the podcast co-hosts tries calming Brick down. He just taps on his shoulder, but instead of a calming effect, Brick channeled his anger on the co-host.
Stop tapping me, cuz.
Tom, what's
about
up?
that shit.
No, bro.
I want to stop tapping me.
The hosts of No Jumper have been criticized over this, with many accusing of prioritizing ratings over the safety of their guests and the broader community. In the aftermath of that podcast, there have been concerns about potential retaliation and further violence. The threats made by Brick Baby during that show have raised fears of a renewed gang war in Los Angeles. During that interview, Brick Baby made comments that fueled speculation about his involvement in the Lil Pab incident. This appearance led to widespread rumors and accusations that Brick Baby had snitched on Lil Durk. October 2024, Lil Durk was arrested on a murder-for-hire charge related to the killing of Lil Pab. This arrest brought renewed attention to Brick Baby, with many questioning his role in the events leading up to the arrest. During this time, Brick Baby's previous comments and interviews were scrutinized, leading to further speculation about his involvement. There is no denying that this interview went sideways, but it is child's play compared to what this next ruthless gangster did when pushed to the limit.
You're willing to die for whatever this cause is?
If that's what it takes.
Yeah, I'm not saying you want to. I'm saying you will.
I don't want to. But if somebody riled up on me and take me out, I guess it was my time to go like that.
Let's go back to April 29th, 1988. Law enforcement launches one of the most aggressive crackdowns on gang violence in Los Angeles' history. One of their encounters was with Dusty Loco, a blood gangbanger, and what he had to say is truly disturbing. The Los Angeles Police Department, or LAPD, began Operation Hammer, a massive raid targeting gang hotspots across LA County. Officers had arrested over 1,400 people in one night, hoping to curb the violence between two of the most infamous street gangs, the Crips and the Bloods. Now, these gangs were born out of poverty and systemic neglect, and they've been waging war for years. The Crips were formed in the late 60s, and the Bloods, their fierce rivals, left a bloody trail through neighborhoods like Compton, Watts, and South Central LA. By the late 1980s, the war had escalated to the point where daily shootings, drug turf wars, and innocent casualties just became a grim reality for residents. Many young men, some barely out of middle school, were pulled into this violence. To better understand that motivation, a police officer pulled up with a news crew to a blood gang neighborhood. The person he talked to was Dusty Loco, or Crazy Dusty, one of the popular gangbangers in the area. That conversation started rather friendly and respectful, which was surprising, but it gradually got more tense and uncomfortable.
Let me just ask you a question. Why are you guys Bloods? Why are you in the gangs?
Why is we in the gang? I guess because the area we grew up in, man. Everybody go in that area, man.
At just a young age, Dusty was already deep in gang life when he gave a haunting interview that gained national attention. In it, he spoke about the hopelessness and fear of living in a world where survival meant picking up a gun before picking up a textbook. Dusty's story was tragically common. Born into a community ravaged by poverty, drugs, and broken homes, he grew up surrounded by gang culture. Dusty said during the interview that for many teens, joining a gang wasn't about rebellion, but survival. The Crips and Bloods offer protection, a sense of family, and an escape from a harsh reality that seemed impossible to change.
Proud of the fact that you're in the gang.
From Lime Hood, yeah.
From Lime Hood, but you're proud of the fact that you're a Blood.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm down. I'm down for it. Because I'm a true. I come from the heart.
But the cost of that protection was high. Dusty lived in a world where friends could quickly turn into enemies, and living to 21 was a big deal because gunshots were pretty common. And despite acting tough, Dusty's words showed he was still just a scared boy. The violence between the Crips and Bloods reached a peak in the late 80s, claiming thousands of lives and leaving entire neighborhoods devastated. Schools turned into recruiting grounds for gang members, while parks and playgrounds became battlegrounds. The city's homicide rate soared, and residents lived in constant fear. Many families couldn't afford to move away, trapped by the very economic conditions that fed the gang's power. The interview then gets uncomfortable as the police make it clear that it makes no sense to be in a gang. Dusty begins to crack, looking more confused and less confident.
Why be in a gang? What's in it for you?
What's in it?
I mean, you can get killed, right?
Yeah.
Well, you mean some of your friends been killed?
Yeah.
So
For a simple cause.
Dusty's trying hard to justify being in a gang, especially the Bloods. But the conversation turns into the uncomfortable topic of his willingness to die for the gang.
You're willing to die for whatever this cause is?
If that's what it takes.
Yeah, I'm not saying you want to. I'm saying you
No,
will.
I don't want to. But if somebody riled up on me and take me out, I guess it was my time to go like that. But ain't nobody did it.
He admits that there won't be an end to senseless violence. His voice was one of a teen who has to put on a tough look, but realizes the hopelessness of this situation.
And then guess what happens after one of them die?
And they come back. And then it's a feud until they don't want no more, until everybody just drop it. But ain't nobody gonna drop it.
Now, if you think Dusty maintains his cool, let's just say the upcoming gang member took things to a chilling new level.
You ain't got no bitches. You ain't got no
that's
fucking
cool.
bitches.
I'll say that. That's cool.
You ain't got no bitches.
Because when the police watching, I don't have no bitches.
It's November 24th, 2022. An episode of the No Jumper podcast takes another violent turn during an interview featuring co-host Almighty Suspect, host Adam22, and guest Lil Kelpy. But no one could predict the violent drama that would end the interview. Lil Kelpy, an aspiring figure in the hip-hop scene, was invited back to the show following a prior contentious appearance. During the interview, Adam22 initiated a discussion about Kelpy's background, touching on his online persona, and a police raid that put him in the spotlight. Then they moved to talking about pimping with Kelpy and Suspect trying to outdo each other. Almighty Suspect accused Kelpy of faking it, that he wasn't a real pimp.
He came in here wearing that like in his head, like, oh, this is what pimps is supposed to look like. I got my little $sign chain, my little fur
I got
coat.
2 of them.
Then Kelpy fires back saying he's got better girls than Suspect. But the response from Suspect was rather surprising.
You ain't got no bitches. You ain't got no
that's
fucking
cool. I'll say that. That's cool.
You ain't got no bitches.
When the police watching, I don't have no bitches.
It was obvious that both Kelpy and Suspect had fragile egos and were looking for validation by all means. Their verbal attacks reveal how petty they both were.
Out of here,
I ain't never
nigga.
seen no bitch.
Are you?
I'm Lil
Who
Kelpy.
are you? No one
Kelpy the
knows
pimp.
you.
Kelpy the motherfucking
Kelpy the
pimp.
clown.
You
Outta
gotta
here.
know who I am.
Tensions flared further as the conversation got personal, with Kelpy calling Suspect the B word in response to Almighty's dismissive remarks. The comment triggered a shocking outburst. Suspect spit on him and launched into a physical attack. landing multiple punches on Kelpy before the fight's broken up.
Who you calling a bitch, though?
I'm calling you a bitch.
This interview gained millions of views, causing a stir of reactions online, with most people thinking both Kelpy and Almighty Suspect were clowns.